Well, in theory, we're live.
Okay, that's encouraging.
You always say that.
Yeah.
Apparently, we are
Well,
live, according to YouTube. Hooray! Hooray for us. I can't see any pictures coming through, but we will assume that YouTube, with all its millions of pounds, billions of pounds, is able to handle one little stream from little old us.
yeah, I'm sure we'll see some people having a chat as well about this, which should be good.
I hope so. Be very nice. I'm sure our marketing team have been letting everyone know that we're going to be doing this unboxing. So they're going
Tremendous.
to come flooding in by the thousand.
Excellent. Right.
What are we doing, Sharon? We are unboxing, I believe, one of the very first retail sets to come off the line and sent to us at SFG HQ for us to have a little play with. It's about right, isn't it?
Horizon Zero Dawn, the board game.
Horizon Zero Dawn, the board game. So this is the core set, and I believe this is the lowest foundational layer in the Steve Margetson high stack of product that we unlocked through the Kickstarter.
Yes, Steve not included.
Steve is not included. I mean,
Do need to stress that.
unless you make us an offer that we can't refuse. But there's only one. We are joined by Jerome. Hello, Jerome.
Nice to have you with us.
Nice to have you with us. So, quick bit of introduction. So, my name's Matt Hart. I'm the co-founder and kind of chief creative dog's body, I guess. I'm the one with the big ideas and the big mouth that tries to get everyone else to get really excited about them. And Sherwin Matthews is lead designer, and he and I are thick as thieves and work constantly coming up with lots of awesome stuff. It's about right, isn't it?
Sounds about right. We had an awful lot of fun making Horizon Zero Dawn the board game as well. If we go back a little bit.
That we went back. So I went out and I purposely. So this is Teddy, who is my Chihuahua, and if you watch the Horizon Zero Dawn video that we did for the Kickstarter project, I believe that was Teddy's first worldwide premiere. He was only about 12 weeks old at that point in time, 13 weeks. Tried to steal the show. Did act as a life-size representative of a Thunderjaw for a little while, but as you can see, he's grown up and got a hell of a lot bigger in the time that we've spent developing this particular game.
Yeah. Now he's kind of like two. Now he's more like a two Thunderjaws, maybe.
No, he's like two Thunderjaws. He's like he's ate a Thunderjaw.
Yeah.
Right. So let's have a little look at the box, well, then let's get inside the box because that's where the really interesting stuff is. So, fantastic artwork, and I think this is going to be the first of many times that I'm going to say in the next half an hour or so about how much I love the artwork for this particular game. I've popped the shrink wrap off just to make life a little bit easier. You can see that this is going to stand out on the shelves. People are going to be able to see this from miles away. I'm not going to read the back of the box to you, but this box contains a lot of stuff. This is heavy. This is 3 kilos, maybe more, 4 kilos. There is a lot of product inside this box. So let's not mess about.
I was going to say, I think one of the things I like the most about this is how much, and we've seen this before, but all of the boxes, when you look at the expansions, all the other bits together, look amazing. They all have this very distinctive style, and they all look really, really cool.
So, we are greeted with a rule book. This rule book is massive. It is nearly 50 pages. In fact, it is 51 pages.
Yeah, it's a big old boy.
Let's have a little flick through. Oh, the important bit, credits page. Just make sure we spelt our names right. So, Matt Hart's right, Sherwin Matthews is right, and some other people did some stuff. No, that's really
Wow.
They're not on the stream, so they don't get to control. No, we had a brilliant team working on this product, and one of the best things about this was how engaged everyone got through the development on the Steamforge side, and the more we got to work with Guerrilla over the last couple of years, the more excited everyone became across both studios, and we had an absolute blast, and that culminated with the start to this year was fantastic for us. First day back, we were in Amsterdam at the Guerrilla Studios doing some unboxing and hanging out with the dev guys over there, and had a brilliant time, didn't we? I think there's videos either out or coming out of that particular couple of days, isn't there?
Yeah, there should be something incoming fairly soon, I think. I'm not 100% sure when. I need to check with some of our marketing guys, but they're yeah, it was an awesome time. The people at Gorilla are amazing to work with. They're so enthusiastic about the world of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh,
super friendly and super kind of enthusiastic about this game as well.
Fantastic! Oh, look at the components. So in this basic set, you're getting the classic Watchers, Striders, Grazers, Scrappers, Shellwalkers, and a couple of Sawtooth in there as well. And a Nora Marksman, Kaja Warrior, a Banuk Survivor, an Osram Forgesmith, and all of the cards and tokens that you're going to need to play. We're going to have a look at those in a second. And I'm just going to flick through some of the pages just so we can really fall in love with the artwork all over again.
Just a quick update. One of our marketing guys just come back to me Friday. We're going to see some footage of our time in Amsterdam.
Oh, wicked! Okay, cool. It feels so very long ago. 2020 seems to have had a bit of a drag on it.
Yeah, it's been quite a thing, hasn't it?
It's definitely been quite a thing. So the rulebook's going to go through. We have extensively tested this rulebook to make sure that it delivers the way to play the game in the most logical fashion. So you should be up and running playing this game pretty easily. We will have a look at some of these components in detail. I'm just going to quickly speed through some of these pages. If you see anything that you want to particularly make a point on, feel free to jump out and say so. Seeing this really takes me back. Do you remember when we were in Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam?
Yeah.
And we were sitting there. We'd had a couple of pints because we were waiting for our plane, and we had the world's worst burger. It was awful, but there was an epiphany, which was we were sitting there, and I was looking at a couple of empty beer bottles, some ketchup bottles, some salt and pepper pots, and suddenly what I could see on the table in front of me was a 3D landscape lifted straight from the video game, and I could see these paths that the salt and pepper pot were going to maneuver, and and then we were moving ketchup bottles in place, and we just saw the gameplay just materialize in front of us on a bar table in Schiphol Airport, and it takes me back to that moment. I don't know if you can remember that. The burger was pretty memorable.
Yeah, I absolutely do. The comical part was it was kind of like suddenly you saw the Matrix. And you started very much going, look, excitedly started grabbing bits and pieces off of the table and moving them around. And we
were going around nicking loads of beer mats, weren't we? Trying to rip them up and turn them into like different bits of terrain and stuff.
Yeah, if you can envision some very bemused-looking bar staff looking at the two crazy Englishmen who they thought had a few too many beers.
Yeah. Oh, look, attacking a component. So one of the favourite parts about the video game and what we've translated through into the board game is being strategic. It's not just about doing damage to the big machines that you're taking on, but it's being strategic, taking out some of their components to weaken them, changes their behaviour, enables you to manipulate them, and that's how you achieve really high levels of hunting excellence.
Yeah, it's one of the most interesting parts about this game is the glory mechanic, which I know is something that very much is your baby. So if you wanted to sort of really run into it,
what's that on?
You can the glory mechanic.
The glory mechanic. Yeah. So one of the big challenges we had, if you remember, was recognizing that that Horizon has such a broad church of fans. There are really hardcore core gamers who love the gameplay and the world, and then there is people who are less intense with their game and want to absorb the story and the cultures that are there and the whole feeling of the world. And then there are other, probably, it's not being disrespectful, but sort of say more casual style users. So there's a huge demographic, and what's important to understand with a game like Horizon, the video game, is people can interact with it how they want to, and they can really personalize their experience. We wanted to try and adopt a similar approach when it came to making the board game. And so if you're playing in a group that is particularly competitive, then the glory mechanic can flex and become incredibly important to your group. Whichever one of you as the hunter who gains the most glory will win at the end of the your evening or your afternoon's gameplay. But if you're part of a group that's much more interested in like a cooperative experience, working together, doesn't really matter who does all the heavy lifting or not, but you're in it as a team, well then the glory mechanic just fades into the background just a fraction in that regard, but it still maintains its importance as being it's basically a key currency in the game, isn't it? You gain glory and then you can spend glory on activating certain things.
Yeah, and so that's one of the big things that we kind of looked at. It was excuse me, was thinking about how we wanted the gameplay to really be something where you could use it as a competitive step. So we are literally all competing to try and get the most sun tokens. Yeah, trying to get suntan, trying to get sun tokens.
We're going to get the most suntan that we possibly can.
Well, we are from Essex, so we're working up that way. Or alternatively, you can just use it to riff off loads of bonus abilities on different hunters and so on. And all of the hunters have their own interactions, which is kind of where we've landed at now, actually.
Yeah.
But hunters all have their own interactions, the way they work with it. The most notable one in this particular group is the caixa hunter, who really riffs off of a lot of different mechanics with how they can use glory tokens in really interesting ways compared to some of the other characters.
Wicked. I'm slightly worried. I'm looking at my my OBS, and the richness of the color isn't quite coming through on my camera. I think my lighting is not quite set up right. This has a much deeper, richer orange to it, but we will get the idea. So we have tiles after tiles. I'm going to keep one of these for when we put some minis on. We've got some little...
Let's talk about what some of these are to save people sort of.
Sure, why not? Go on then.
So, some of that we've just seen is the aforementioned
terrain pieces,
sun tokens. So they're the actual awards you get for bringing down certain enemies.
So these are double-sided with a full sun or a half sun.
Yep, and you've also got some other stuff in terms of terrain, as we've talked about as well.
Yeah.
The Blazing Suns is another one as well, which we'll find a little bit later on. You've got machine corpses, which is obviously a piece of terrain that you can find.
Yeah.
There's some of the stuff for the level trees in the bottom corner, I can see on that board.
Yep, down here.
You've got the leader token and the fledgling token, which are used to track who's got the most glory as you go through the campaign.
As you go through. Cool. Right, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sheets of cardboard. Gives us 6 tiles to play with and all the tokens that you need for the game. But
you've got. Oh, sorry, I was going to say you've got some damage tokens there for different components and so on, and obviously we can see a whole bunch of game tiles, a whole bunch of boards as well, which is encouraging.
Yeah. Okay. So
all of these tiles are double-sided, depending on whether you're playing solo or 1 to 2 player, or whether you're playing 3 to 4.
I want to get my minis, but these are well packed. Look, these are not going anywhere at all. So you can move around with these quite happily. Let's pull these guys out. We'll do the minis last, because that's like, well, that's my particularly favourite bit. So a little bit of packing foam here, just to kind of keep everything in place. Obviously, once you popped your tokens out, you can drop everything in there. That'll keep everything snug. This you can kind of chuck away. Let's go straight for the bottom and grab some of these behaviour cards. So I am just going to.
I love the inserts there. They're awesome the way they all sort of slot into the box and everything. I know we had some interesting challenges with our production team trying to make everything fit into this box. There's so much stuff in all of these.
Right. Oh, look at these cards. That is black core. Really nice quality. Happy with that. Really happy with that. So these are the behaviour cards for all the different enemies, if for want of a better expression, that you have in the game.
Those are the reference cards, the large tarot size ones, and then we have the behaviour cards of the smaller sort of normal size cards.
Let's just drop those over there.
There's a question about solo play in the chat. You absolutely can. I did mention it earlier, but I'll just reiterate. You absolutely can play this game solo if you want to.
Yeah. All right. Let's just pop one of these ribbons. There you go. Split the deck. All right. So this is some abilities, it looks like, for the Caixa Warrior. There's your upgrade paths that you can kind of go through. Loads of different abilities. So this is essentially a deck building game, right?
Right. It's So a large part of what this game is, it's kind of like a hybrid miniatures, like dice game and card and deck builder. So effectively, every character you have, or every hunter, I should say, has a starting deck of cards, which is their action deck. This represents their stamina, but it's also the ammunition they've got and the sort of skills they can use, as well as some of their equipment. And as you level up, you get to add cards into this. And obviously, as you visit merchants, you can upgrade them with extra items from merchants. I'm sure we'll get onto the merchant decks in a little bit.
Yep.
Otherwise, obviously, and when you upgrade your hunters, you've got, I think it's total 8 potential different paths you can actually go with as you go through the game. So you've got loads of variation. It's 8 per hunter. I mean, bearing in mind there's 4 hunters in the core box. There's another 8 or so, no, 7 hunters out there.
There is a phrase that
8 hunters, 9 hunters in fact out there. Otherwise,
there's a phrase that we use in Essex, but it's not for polite company. Let's say there's shed loads of options.
Yeah, there's an awful lot.
There's an awful lot. How terribly British of you.
Yeah,
right, let's just pop one more. And
the other cards you were just looking at, by the way, the event cards. Those are the ones that kind of really mix up the encounters, and they're chosen with the character by the player who's got the fledgling token. So that's the catch-up mechanic.
Yes.
So at that point, you can introduce things like, for example, you can imagine the person with the fledgling token is resourceful and can run around and scamper and sort of pick up little bits and pieces, sort of scavenge items the others might have. They can kind of force the other players to feel more complacent and expose, their kind of, step out of cover or whatever. Lots of different things you can do to kind of bring yourself back in the game.
Basically, the game revolves around taking part in a quest set to you by the Hunter's Lodge for the honour for your clan, and they will set you on the path of an array of different difficulty hunts to go on, starting from easy ones through medium ones to hard ones. Now, as Sherwin said, what we've actually done is introduce a concept where the person who has the least amount of glory. Now, if you're playing competitively, this counts as a catch-up mechanic. And if you're playing cooperatively, it's just a bit of fun for the person who's not gained as much glory as everyone else. But you will randomly get an event card, and that will give you a small little buff or a little bit of an edge. But it will also change the way that a scenario will play. So it just gives you a more replayability. It's very, very unlikely that you'll play the same mission in exactly the same conditions more than once.
Yeah, it's also worth stressing we've got, just quickly going back to that co-op versus competitive play as well, some of the event cards are super useful if you are playing cooperatively. Some of them are super useful if you're playing competitively. So there really is something in there for everybody. So it's not all kind of screw your neighbour kind of mechanics.
Yeah. Which are no fun for anyone. Especially your neighbours. Alright, there's a whole bunch of stamina cards, some upgrade stuff that you can get.
So the stamina cards is an interesting one. They're used if hunters level up and don't and pick up traits or don't go to the merchant and choose not to buy new equipment and so on. They're kind of really there for a catch-all. So when players level up, they definitely don't miss out on having extra stamina, hence the name. That said, there are a couple of hunters, and I won't go into this too much because there's some spoilers there, who actually interact with these cards in quite unique ways, which is interesting.
It absolutely is. For some reason, my nails are just not working. Let's do it.
There's a lot of cards in this game.
How many cards did you proofread?
There's over 1,000 across everything. There's an awful lot of cards to go through. I mean, it's not just me, obviously. Lots of other people get involved in them as well. But
yeah,
by the time you look across most of the expansions, there's a serious high number, which is cool. It's obviously very enthusiastic. I'll answer a couple of questions in the chat while you're having
I was having a bit of a mare with that one, to be fair.
So these are the actual miniatures.
Oh, these are the upgrade ones, aren't they?
Yeah, you're into upgrade territory now.
Look at that bad boy.
So these are actual miniatures, not resins. That's a really good question. How many cards in the main box? I would have to check that myself.
I think I might be able to tell you.
So you got it in the rulebook. Of course you do.
It'd be in the rulebook, wouldn't it? Which is down here. So let's have a quick revisit the old rulebook. We've got 13 tracking deck cards, 17 event cards, 20 stamina cards, 54 salvage deck cards, 36 level 1, 36 level 2s, 36 level 3 merchant cards. And each character also has a few starting equipment cards. Yeah, your standard action deck, 16 plus 13 possible upgrades. Gives you 29 for that guy, 26 over there. So best part of sort of 25, 30 cards per character. So yeah, you're looking at best part of 250, 300 cards, I think. My rough maths serves me at all well. Right, let's have a look at the minis. Right. Let's have a look at the minis. I'm just going to prolong the tension slightly by putting these cards back, because if I don't, then I'm going to get all mixed up and confused. I'm going to have to sort these out. Comment if you guys would like to see Sherwin and I do a couple of playthroughs of this.
Oh, they're already on that one, Matt. That's already happened.
Are we getting volunteers?
People are very excited about us playing this.
All right, sweet. I bet they're not as excited as I am. And also comment below if you'd like to see me doing a painting video of one or two of these, because I'll be quite happy to do that. Right, we get a few dices, custom dice of various different powers. I'll let you guys all discover that for your own benefit. What were you going to say?
I'll quickly just jump in. We do have a different colour of dice. In the original version of the game, we only had red or orange, I should say, and blue. We now have the black dice as well, which is like a special critical hit dice. So as you can see, it's 3 sides blank and 3 sides crit. That's why I mostly use for conditions.
Sweet. Right. Shall we start with the... let's work our way up, shall we, in terms of sizing? So let's start
just a quick update. Just a quick update as well. I've got on the core game. It's roughly 360-ish game cards in the core game.
360. Oh, my rough maths wasn't terrible, was it?
No.
Not terrible at all.
There's a lot of support for you painting some models, Matt.
I am more than happy to paint some models. Right, this may work. This might. Right, so this is a bit of an experiment. So this might work, or it might not. What? Let's see if it works. It doesn't work at all. Rubbish.
You try.
I'll try. All right. Let's bring the camera in a little bit closer. Okay. So we can see a bit of the detail. Oh, look at that. Really?
This is one of the one of the things we had an awful lot of fun with the hunters, putting them together and kind of really trying to, not just in terms of actual sculpting and the artwork, but also really trying to bring everybody, really trying to get the feel for what the hunters actually were, like the rich cultures of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
And I remember.
Hold on, Ted Lord's off.
Oh, we've lost Eddie. So I remember this particular hunter was one of the first ones we did, the Osterum Forgesmith. It's just such an iconic Osterum pose. It's just so cool.
Let's just get that camera in a little bit so I've got a bit more light on the situation. There you go. Look at that.
That's the Kajo Warrior.
Looks fantastic. I'll put that out over there. And hopefully that's coming through. I think Ted Law wants to go. Come on. You let Teddy out.
This will be the Banuk Survivor.
Stick them over there, and last but not least,
I'll just leave the Nora Marksman.
Nora Marksman. Yeah, looks brilliant. Right, Watchers. So 4 Watchers. They're all the same pose. Hopefully, the crispness of the detail is coming through. I think hands down, these are amongst the best minis that we've ever made as a studio, aren't they?
I know that when they really are. I know
the detail in there.
Yeah, I know when we went to Gorilla, the people at Gorilla, they love them. I've never been. I had a really my happiest story from around then was actually sitting down with the people who made who actually programmed the AI for the Horizon Zero Dawn machines in the video game, who came to check out the AI, how the AI worked in our board game.
Yeah.
For the machines. And they just sort of sat there really being excited and sort of falling in love with the miniatures. It was really, really cool experience.
It was cool. We got a full seal of approval from the AI team. We really worked hard to make sure that these creatures behave as you would expect them to from board game to from video game to board game. Let's raise it right, working our way up. Oh yeah, look at that. Just look at the detail on the teeth. Can you see it coming through? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Dynamic
Yeah.
poses, they look fantastic.
Well, all of the poses for the machines were based on the, or at least the lion's share of them. There are a couple we couldn't do because of obviously manufacturing constraints, but we based them on the iconic poses and the iconic artwork of all of the machines that was actually made for the game, the video game itself. So these should be instantly recognizable to people when they sit down.
Roy, the art director, was super on board and really so much help in that regard. Just added so much value.
I think Roy is the first person at Gorilla I actually learned their name because he just really came up straight away and said, "Hi, I'm Roy, and I really want to help you." He was so enthusiastic.
Fantastic. Right, let's go. I love this model. I can't wait to paint this model.
Right.
It's just big. I mean, I mean, we haven't even got close to some of like the really big models that we've got, but
no, they are enormous. They are scary big.
Do you know, like this is going to mean absolutely nothing to most people, but I can't begin to describe how excited about the bases I am. This is a different type of plastic that we're using for the bases. So the minis on top are a little bit softer, have a little bit more flexibility. That means that they're not susceptible to breaking at all. So fragile elements like this antenna would be quite susceptible to breaking if it didn't have that flexibility. But if you use the same material in the base, you can end up with a degree of warping. I don't know if people know, but when a PVC model comes out of the mold, the PVC itself, whilst it has taken the shape of the mold, is actually quite flexible and wobbly. It's a bit like hard jelly, and it needs to sit and cure and harden into its final shape. And sometimes, especially with large flat areas, you can end up with a degree of warping, which can be a bit frustrating because you want a model to sit flat on the base. So our production team worked really hard with the factory that we were using to identify a different type of plastic that gives an absolutely razor's edge, sharp, hard base. And what I like about it is it's got a little bit of weight to it, so it feels like the model is firmly on the table, which sounds like I'm on QVC trying to sell step ladders to like short people, but it just, I don't know. You have to wait until you get it yourself and you put one of these guys down, and the fact that it just hits perfectly level, perfectly flat, perfectly circular, hard edge base. Maybe it's just me. Tell me it's just me and I'm not going crazy. I'm the only crazy one.
Well, I don't have to sort of do it myself because everyone else is very excited about it in the chat by the looks of things.
That's cool. All right. Go on, sorry, mate.
I was going to say, this is the sawtooth. This is your ultimate quarry that you have to find in the core game, at least.
In the core game. He looks fantastic. Cool. Right. So we have 2 sawtooth, 2 shellbacks.
Shell walkers. Also, side note,
I'm old,
of interest to me, you talk about the heft on the base. For me, the language is really interesting. Apparently, the plural sawtooth is sawtooths.
Sawtooths.
I thought it'd be sawtooth like you. I thought it'd be a name that's plural and also singular, but apparently it's not. Sawtooths is the way.
Okay. Fair enough. Is there any questions that anyone might want to ask? Because I've literally, well, look, I've excited myself enough. I'm going to put stuff away and start thinking about what I'm going to paint for a painting video.
Well, I can happily jump in a little bit. So we had one query just quickly. Well, actually, just going on to this. Does the game place it past the 2-hour mark? So one of the things we started out with is this idea of making the game kind of a 90-minute to 120-minute experience, and that's what we talked about a lot during the Kickstarter. That's what our original concept was. And once development began in earnest, and people will remember back at the Kickstarter, we had obviously a very solid core for what the game was going to be, but we wanted to develop it more and kind of really build it up, because one of the things we like doing at Kickstarter is obviously showing off to people, showing the game to people, saying this is an idea, this is a platform for us to integrate, to really integrate our communities and get some ideas from you guys and really build into this. And as we started developing the game, we realized this is much like Horizon Zero Dawn. We can't contain this into a sort of 90-minute to 120-minute kind of experience. It's just expanding outwards. It's just a really big, involved game. Yeah. And whilst we were slightly nervous of that, at the same time, I think there was a magic moment where I sat and talked to Steve, our lead developer, and we kind of went, wow, it's taking guys a long while to play this game. I'm like, well, is anyone bored at any one point playing this? Like, no, everyone loves it. And it's like, well, then let's not try to do that. Let's just have it.
Problem.
Let's get it organically grow into what the game needs to be. If the game needs to take a lot of time, then fantastic. So yes, that's the first one. We had a question about the graphic design. I'll quickly just go up to find it. So, did we have one person doing graphic design, or did we have a team, in-house or external contractor? So we have an in-house graphic design team. There's a couple of different people working on this particular project for different bits and pieces. Although I wouldn't want to say that's only really half the story. We had an awful, and I really do mean an amazing amount of support from Guerrilla and a lot of their kind of team in terms of getting the look of it and the visual feels quite right to where they want it to be, and where it's really sort of jumps out and feels really at home in as a Horizon Zero Dawn product. In terms of the actual artwork we've got for it, because there's one of the things we could show off here, Matt, is the nice lush artwork for the new Hunters. I don't think we've shown that off to anybody. It's on
all yeah, let's do that. That's cool.
So no one's seen that, but that was actually done by one of Guerrilla's artists they use for the core game concept arting and so on. So
yeah. So let's grab. So we have the artwork for the new Hunters, and as you can see, the poses are pretty much bob on.
Yeah, all of these were based on our renders of our miniatures. So we punted all of those over to Guerrilla, and they kind of looked at them and went from there.
Yeah.
But I think they did a really, really tremendous job with some of these. It really made them feel like they actually existed in their own right in the actual game themselves. Obviously, they're not named characters, but they really do feel like they've got their own identity. One of the big things we started to inject into our game was a very strong sort of cultural identity for all of our hunters, and that's not just in the core game. It's obviously across the expansions and everything else as well. We wanted it to feel like if you're playing the Banuk Survivor, you do feel like you're one of the Banuk living life on hard mode, kind of struggling to kind of get by in the way that you do things, are very unorthodox, that sort of stuff. If you're the Ostrom, you're big and you're tanky, like your gameplay is setting things on fire and these massive explosions going off around you as you kind of walk through the flames. If you're a Nora, you're patiently stalking your prey, hunting them. You really represent the sort of pinnacle of the hunting discipline that you've made your trade. And if you're the Kaja warrior, you're this incredibly flamboyant character who sort of runs in, hacks down the enemies, really fights them. Really takes the fight to them. You are absolutely the biggest glass drawer in the world, but that doesn't matter because if you look cool doing it, then you win the game, right?
Which happens to be my favourite way of winning any game.
Exactly, yeah. So
it's called the no guts, no glory approach to life. I adopt a similar outlook in golf, which is whenever I've got a no guts, no glory shot, I always take it on because you don't expect to ever carry it off, right? But when you do, you feel amazing, and when you don't, you're like, well, I probably shouldn't have taken that shot on anyway. And that's how a Kaja warrior would play golf, in my opinion.
I can't really argue with that on that basis. That's the Kaja way. The Kaja are actually one of the most entertaining tribes to really come up with an identity for because they are so varied. It's such a massive culture that Guerrilla created for the Kaja. We really had to sort of pick, how are we going to approach this in a way that feels authentic and feels recognizable to people who played the video game and really want it to kind of feel like it's the same Kaja, because you meet the merchant class, you meet the nobility, you meet kind of even the exiles, you kind of meet warriors, you meet all sorts religious individuals, and it was really trying to hone all of that to try and make it feel much more cohesive. Some of the other tribes are a little bit easier to pin down.
That just mate. I know it's a bit boring for people who weren't there, but that just takes me back to that terrible burger bar in Schiphol Airport, and now it's fully realised itself as a proper stand-up game now.
One of my most favourite parts is...
Hold on, I've got it. There you go.
Well, one of my favourite moments for any game that we make is obviously for people. Obviously from a design perspective, the way that we're normally working is that we have bits, we have paper assets we printed off on like PowerPoint or Word or whatever else. We're playing with cards we made up as just demo tests.
Yeah.
They've got biro scribbled all over them, big red X's all over the place. Dice that you kind of that's 6, it actually isn't a 6, it's this or that or whatever else. And exactly as you're saying, it's miniatures from other games, or it's stuff from wherever that you're using to demonstrate. When you actually open the actual box and the thing's real in front of you, that's got to be one of the most incredible experiences.
No, exactly. So these are the AI cards.
So we've got a really interesting tree mechanic for how these guys work. So when each of the cards has a condition on it, and it has a question at the top of it, and you look at it, and it kind of says, so the Watcher, for example, are there any unalert enemies nearby? If so, it'll run off to go and alert those enemies. If there's not, then it will actually attack as a sort of second choice.
Yeah, I mean, that only happens when it's active. Otherwise, it's just going to follow its patrol path, isn't it? And
exactly,
on a full board, these will be big loops, or they will, or it might be that they will just wander off. So a really small mission like this might be to take the grazers out, because the grazers carry a lot of components and scrap that's super useful. But they are just going to run off the board if you're not careful with how you approach them. So you can't just run in gung ho, all bows and axes blazing. You need to really plot your way around. But yeah, let's have a quick look at the Watcher card. So if the Watcher becomes alert, when it activates, a non-alert enemy within 2 spaces. So yes, everyone is alert. It's going to move 1 towards the closest non-alert. So you would just get to choose which one it is. The tiebreaker is the glory mechanic. So whoever has the most glory will take the aggro. So let's say, it's bound to be this guy. So the Watcher would actually move towards and perform this attack, and you would resolve that out. Simple as that. Really quick and easy to do.
Yeah, it's basically that's more or less it. So there are some different things in terms of it's the last hunter to activate, or it could be the person with the most glory. There's various different variables in terms of how it actually plays through, and obviously all of that's in the rulebook and it goes through. It's very intuitive to actually sit down and play it through. So yes, and basically that's pretty much what you're looking at. In terms of some of the other questions we've seen sort of dotted around, do they have any way to go to alert mode to non-alert? Absolutely. So enemies all start off an encounter as non-alert. They're kind of simply following their patrol routes, as Matt said. Once an enemy is attacked nearby, or you attack them directly, then enemies become alert, and at that point, depending on what the enemy is, they might hunt you down. So a more aggressive machine might decide it's going to come for your hunters, really come after you. Sawtooth being a really good example here. A Watcher, by comparison, will try to alert all of the other machines around it. A Grazer, as Matt has also alluded to, is quite skittish and might try to escape and simply bolt. So you've got to approach them very, very carefully.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at them. So if a hunter's within 1 square, it will attack them with self-defense. If there isn't a hunter within 1 square, it's just going to leg it. If that gets to the board edge and leaves, you might fail the hunt because you won't have gained enough hunt points. Yeah, that's worst case. Next worst case is all that sweet scrap is just prancing off the board.
Yeah,
so
basically.
Think about how you're going to do things.
Right, and that's and obviously depending on whether you're playing cooperative or competitive, again that changes the mechanics a little bit more. You might be quite happy if you're sitting on the most glory of all the hunters to watch that last grazer run away from the edge of the board, because that pretty much means you've got this encounter and you're going to get the Sun Award. Alternatively, it could be that you're chasing the pack, as it were, and you can't afford to let anything lose out.
Yeah.
So we should probably mention at this point, obviously.
Oh mate, I want to play this.
I know. I was actually going to jump in and say late pledge is now open. And it's open, if I quickly just bring up my stats to make sure I get everything right. So the all-in pledge, an all-in late pledge, which comes with a huge stack of boxes, which covers all of the huge machines. It covers the narrative scenario stuff that we made, obviously the core game, all of the Kickstarter exclusives, and then the four different tribal expansions, which have extra hunters. So Nora, Kaja, Banuk, and Osram.
Yeah.
Shadow Kaja. So if you really want to play as the bad guys, he says in inverted commas, that's available until the 17th of July. And you can find that if you go to, I believe, the Horizon Zero Dawn Kickstarter page. There's a button you can follow that takes you there, and you can probably find it if you go to the Steamforge website as well. If you need to update your address details, then you can do that until the end of July, if you already are a backer. In terms of the actual delivery of this, it will be shipping to backers. The core game will be landing with people in November 2020. So not too long at all now. Time flies, as we can happily all say about this. I still remember going to Amsterdam like yesterday. So
yeah, oh, me too. Me too. Right, is there any other questions that we haven't answered? If not, then what we might do is press the pause button for now, and then you and I can put our heads together as to when we're going to play this, because I want to get some game time with it now.
It looks like I think we mastered more or less the rest. Give me a second, just quickly scroll through. We had one there.
Ask now or forever hold your peace. Well, until the next time we stream.
A couple of people have asked to see the back of the cards, Matt, so I'll let you have a look at that for the moment. I will warn that some of them you're going to find some of them a bit dull, because obviously all of the equipment cards, skill cards, and so on, as a deck builder, have to be the same.
So these are the event cards.
So yeah, I'll let you cycle through while I look through things.
So these will make life easier for you. These are the different hunts that you can go on. And they're going to have all the same back because you want to be able to shuffle them and whatnot. And behaviour cards are double-sided. They will have artwork on one side, and one might say a handy painting guide. And then the behaviours on that side, and then on the actual character cards themselves, there's going to be a couple of different sorts. There'll be the starting set, and then there'll be the upgrades. So that's the two different types that you're going to get for the Carja.
We do have a query just quickly. Can we see the smaller cards, the salvage cards? That would be. There's half-size cards that we've sort of dropped out of this.
I didn't unwrap those. All right, let's have a quick look.
So just quickly on the subject of the hunter cards, while we're there. So the hunter cards, you've got two types effectively. The ones that get shuffled into the deck, those have the generic kind of hunter deck back. They're the same as the merchant cards, and they're the same for every hunter, because obviously that way it is a deck builder, so you do need to have some amenity when you've got your cards face down.
Also, if you're an awful human being like I am and you don't play with card sleeves, then it means that you know.
Well, fortunately for the people who are real, people who do have respect for their games and their cards, he says with a smile, the box itself has been designed to accept sleeved cards as well, and I think that's often the thing that stops you from doing it, because they don't fit back in the box.
That is true. That is true.
But also on the actual, so if we have a look at the back of some of the other cards, like the hunter cards, which are not obviously part of the hunter deck, they actually have unique deck backs for them anyway. So the Carja Warrior card itself, for example, will have the Carja back. So.
Right, so there's some of the components you can get. It's the same black core full linen finish. That's a good quality card. If I went back and could tell young me, what old me would be getting excited about, then he wouldn't believe it. Be like, you've got this amazing game in front of you, and you're sitting there flicking bits of cardboard. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Beer bottles in our case.
Right.
Back at Schiphol Airport. Are you about to get to all the cool stuff in the salvage deck, I wonder?
Machine Heart.
Oh.
A rare prize indeed, and a proud badge of your skill and prowess. I like to think that I should have that one day.
Just make sure you don't get the It Still Breathes card, which is where you killed a machine and then suddenly it just stands back up again and comes after you.
Oh, there's some cool stuff in here. Right. Good. Any more, or should we wrap this baby up?
I think that's more or less everything. There's a lot of people who are saying they're really looking forward to it, which is cool. A lot of people really like the art style, and again, it's awesome. It feels just like the video game. Super in love with how this game turned out.
Yeah.
I can't wait to play it.
Couldn't be more proud of this game. Couldn't be more proud. So, thanks ever so much for joining us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that as much as we did sharing it with you. I'm going to pop everything out and work with Sherwin to work out when we can actually play it, and whether we want to try and paint some stuff first, in which case I can stream that, or whether we're just going to dive in and play unpainted. Boo, we should play painted. Yeah.
There's a lot of people who are excited. There's a lot of people who are excited about the about painting it. So
I reckon that'd be pretty straightforward to paint, to be honest with you.
Just quickly, Matthew, you just about got your question in. Machine Park salvage cards do get shuffled, so you don't know what you're catching.
Oh, the fun of the fair. Right.
Exactly.
Guys, thanks ever so much. Gonna hit the button, and until next time, stay safe, wear a face mask, and wash your hands.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Thanks for listening today.